What's up, guys? Today I wanted to make a follow-up video for the Pixel 10. This phone was pretty interesting to kind of look at you guys' comments because it was being highly criticized and compared to the iPhone 17. And while I definitely think there's some things about the Pixel 10 that is definitely better than the iPhone 17, I definitely get where people are coming from, and we'll kind of go over that. But I want to talk about, 2 months later, just the things that I really like and don't necessarily like about this device. So I guess we can start off with the price. So you guys can see the Pixel actually got a pretty decent price cut here. It's now $599 instead of $799, and I think that's a pretty solid price. I think if they would have launched this phone at $699, just $100 off, or even the price it is now, I think this would have been an extremely good deal at launch. But yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about it. And I think first off, the hardware is beautiful. I think just the overall Pixel 10 series and the Pixel 9 series with this camera island design is really nice. I absolutely love this blue color as well too. And you kind of have a two-tone color here with a lighter blue, and then we have a darker blue on the camera. And this phone is extremely comfortable. And you guys know I typically go with the Pro XL, which I do have coming. But it just feels really comfortable. It's very easy to one hand. And like I said, I love the design here. IP68 dust and water resistant. And we have the Victus 2 glass on here. And yeah, hardware wise, it's doing really well. I have not put a case on it. It's a very well built phone here. And I will say this phone does have a little bit of heft to it because it does have such a large battery. And it is coming in at 204 grams. So that is something I kind of noticed off rip. Just the size of the phone, it just feels, kind of hefty. So one of the biggest criticisms with this phone is that people don't like the screen to body ratio on here. It is 86.1%, and people just think the bezels are just too chunky to be a, flagship phone here. And I definitely agree. I think Google could definitely at least bring this up to 90% screen to body ratio. I don't think the bezels have to be so thick. They are evenly thick around the phone, but a lot of people just don't like that. A lot of people don't like the kind of enlarged punch hole. They just say it makes the phone look very cheap from the front, and I definitely get where you guys are coming from. Now, as far as the panel quality, there's actually not a big a deal with the actual quality of the display. It's been fine. It's a OLED panel, 120 Hz HDR10 Plus. It's actually very bright at 3000 nits peak brightness, and it comes in at 6.3 inches, and then it's a 1080p panel, 422 for the PPI. All the icons and everything look very sharp. The colors look really good, and we have that Victus 2 glass on here. So I would say I don't have an issue with the panel, and where a lot of people are, comparing this to the iPhone 17 is that it doesn't have any anti-reflection coating. So yeah, so I can see, the complaints here. But I'm pretty much feeling like the biggest complaint with this phone is these kind of thicker bezels, which I definitely get. But the overall display is perfectly fine. I mean, this thing is very sharp, very smooth. And like I said, I don't have a big issue with it personally. But some people just see this and they just feel like it's a cheap, it just looks cheap. All right, so let's talk about the Tensor chipset here. This has always been a topic of discussion with this Tensor chip. It has the Tensor G5 processor on here. We have 128 gigs of internal storage and 12 gigs of RAM on this base model here. And on the 128 gig, it's UFS 3.1, but on the 256, it's 4.0. Now, like I said, this chipset is highly criticized, but I feel like this phone is extremely smooth. I think it's smoother than the iPhone 17. Now, again, it might not be as powerful as the iPhone 17, but the animations and everything are extremely smooth. Like, if you come in here to Wildlife Extreme, it's nothing crazy with these benchmarks as we're seeing here. But when I tell you guys that the animations, like your swipe down animations, just toggling your brightness, it's just buttery smooth how all the animations kind of flow here. And yeah, I think it's smoother than the iPhone, honestly. But yeah, will it be a little, like a second slower than like a S25 or whatever, or an iPhone? Sure. but I still think these Pixel phones have some of the smoothest, silkiest animations. I know I keep repeating myself, but yeah, these aren't necessarily, gaming phones or whatever. Like, they're not like crazy optimized for a lot of like the major titles, but these can play games. So I would say my experience with this phone, I don't have an issue. I'm not a gamer, and I'm not doing anything like super intensive on my phone, video editing and emulators or whatever, people do on their phone where they need a ton of power. I feel like this is enough for the average person to be able to multitask smoothly, and even casually game is not a big deal here. And also, a side note, the haptics are really solid on here as well too. But yeah, I would say it's a perfectly fine device when it comes to speed. So one of the strange things with this phone is it launched with 90 frames, and then it got an update and just went back to 60 frames. So it was kind of weird. But I would say the gaming performance is pretty decent. This G5 processor does not really heat up at all. I've never had any type of heating issues. Whether you're going to be recording video or just playing games, it's not like it's getting hot where it's uncomfortable to hold or it starts stuttering. It's just consistently smooth throughout, the entire time of using this phone. So I would say performance-wise, if you want the most power for your money, you're going to go with S25, iPhone 17 or whatever. But if you're somebody who, you don't necessarily do a bunch of gaming and maybe video editing and stuff like that, because the things that this phone is geared towards more so like the AI stuff, which again, I don't really care for either, but it's more so geared towards AI stuff. But you can come in here and just get a little bit of gaming done here. And I guess we can talk about the software. Now, this is an area where I think this does a way better job than iPhone when it comes to AI. So I would say if you're somebody concerned with AI, the Gemini Assistant is extremely good. It's so much better than Apple Intelligence. It's not even funny. Things like the object eraser is a lot better, and the other AI features in this phone, it just does everything much better than Apple Intelligence. So if you're kind of choosing between iPhone, Android, and AI is a big concern, I would say go with the Pixel. It's a lot better. Print scanner is now an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor, so it works extremely well. Never had an issue with it, and it's very fast. Almost like you just will never have an issue with this. And let's check out these speakers. We're at max volume. So I think the speakers are also very good. They have a ton of bass, and they're also very well balanced. There's no distortion at max volume, so they sound very, very good. I have no issues with the speaker quality. So as far as the pictures and video goes, I think it takes great photos and videos, honestly. Like I said, Pixels are some of my favorite phones to take photos with. And yeah, I think the shots look very good. And you do have a 48 megapixel standard, and we have a 10.8 megapixel telephoto with 5 times optical zoom, and we can now get up to 20 times zoom. And just with these base model phones, the zoom shots look a lot better, so that is something that I've been really enjoying. You have a 13 megapixel ultra wide, and you also have 4K 60 video with a 10.5 megapixel selfie camera that also shoots in 4K 60. And like I said, the shots look great. Skin tones look really good as well. And overall, you get really good dynamic range, very good accurate colors. That's one thing that I like about Google image processing. It gets pretty good when it comes to the colors. Unlike some phones can kind of make things look very unrealistic. I would say the video is okay. It's not, it's not anything super crazy. But I think it is pretty decent. Like I said, the zoom quality is actually pretty decent with the video as well too. But yeah, I think just standard still photography, low light, whether you're in good lighting, I think it looks really good. So I have no issues with the Pixel 10. It focuses really nice as well too. So yeah, so I'm a big fan of the cameras. Now, lastly, the battery life is very good on the Pixel 10. It's a 4,970 milliamp hour battery, so it's a pretty big battery for this size phone. You also have 30-watt charging, which is, again, a little bit slow for today. But you also have wireless charging. This does have Qi 2 as well, too, which is pretty nice, so you can use basically the MagSafe accessories. And then you also have reverse wire charging and bypass charging as well. Screen on time, you could easily get 6 hours of screen on time out of this phone. So I don't have any battery issues as a lighter user, but I feel like even if you were doing some gaming on here, it would still be, perfectly fine. So I would say I have enjoyed the Pixel 10. I think it's a very good phone, and I'm curious to see what you guys think, 2 months later, especially with this, price drop. And yeah, so I'm very curious to see what you guys think. So be sure to let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next